the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to another episode of the Icons of Real Estate podcast, where we highlight top professionals who are making waves in the industry. I'm your host, Karen Roberts, and today we're joined by, Georgeanna, but she's commonly known to our friends as Tracy Newmones. Now, she's been in the industry more than 27 years. She's known for her exceptional strong communication and exceptional service and dedication to her clients. Now, as the 2024-2025 president of the Atlantic City and County Board of Realtors, she brings leadership and deep market expertise. Now, specializing in Atlantic County, she is passionate about educating buyers and sellers to make informed decisions. So let's dive into her journey and her insights into today's market. So welcome to the show, Tracy.
Thank you, Karen, for having me on. I appreciate you. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. So look, Tracy, your backstory. What initially inspired you to pursue a career in real estate, and how has that passion evolved over the past 27 years?
Very good question. And actually, someone just asked me that question yesterday. I was teaching a class in Gallery in one of the local areas. We're doing a financial class. And the person asked me that, and I had to think for a moment. But when I think about it, I told them, I said, you know what? When I was about 18 years old, almost 19, I stumbled across buying a home. I bought my first home at 19, and I stumbled across that only because I was actually going in there to get a rental. So the agent was kind enough to tell me that maybe I should think about buying a house. Excuse me. So I bought the house, and because I was one of my friends, one of the few friends, I guess, that in our group that actually had purchased a home, all of my friends would come to me and ask me, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? So I started liking to look at homes, and I bought my next property after that. And then I started, getting an interest in homes. And someone said to me, they said, maybe you should just get your real estate license. And I got my real estate license.
Fantastic. Well, that's very young to purchase your first home. So, you've, great way to start. Now, for you, as the newly elected president of the Atlantic City and County Board of Realtors, what are some key initiatives or goals that you're excited to focus on?
Well, I've basically said this, and this is just something that I'm passionate about with everything, especially with agents. I really believe in collaboration, versus, cooperation. I feel like that we need to collaborate more and not compete. And we obviously have to cooperate with everything and in our market, but really if we collaborate together and if you really try and work well, especially in the climate that we're in right now with this market changing in real estate and buyer's agency and all of the other things that, have come down the line, I think that agents really need to work on building better relationships in the agency, like with each other and their colleagues and teams.
I love that. And collaboration over competition every single time. If only more people didn't think like that, right?
Yeah.
And you emphasize the importance of educating buyers and sellers. So what common misconceptions do you often see in the real estate market?
Well, I think for the most part, a lot of misconceptions actually are being addressed now with the NAR changes, which was actually how agents were paid. I think most people were really not understanding how agents were paid. And for me, I've always done buyer consultations. So I've always done buyer consultations for years. And I think that part of that was so that I could see if I were a good fit, and also just to make sure that I would educate them on how this process worked. And instead of just jumping in a car, running out to look at properties, which, oftentimes as new agents, I did it before when I started in the business. It's just not productive. It really isn't productive. And you really want to make sure that you have an informed client so that they can make a better decision with regard to whether they're selling their house or buying a house.
And that will go a long way for getting referrals, right? Because the more they're educated on, they're going to be grateful for it. So they're more likely to send somebody else your way. So it's not transactional. That's what I'm hearing from you. Rather than just treating it as simply a transaction, the importance of educating them in the right way is the way to move forward. So, well, tell us a little bit more about Atlantic County. You got deep roots in Atlantic County. How has the local real estate landscape, if you like, how has it changed over the years, and what trends do you see shaping its future?
Well, good question, Karen. And it has changed. It hasn't changed drastically. My county, Atlantic County, there are lots of opportunities for first-time home buyers, trade-up buyers, and specifically, there are some pockets in Atlantic County, for instance, like Atlantic City. That's one of my primary areas. I'm born and raised in the city, where there are more opportunities for investors. And what's changed over the years, when I got into real estate, not many people were, doing investment properties. And like I mentioned, I bought my first property. Well, a few years later, I went to go sell that property. And when I went to sell the property, the market had crashed and I couldn't sell it. So I couldn't sell the property. And so by default, I became a landlord. I wanted to make sure that I could, buy my next property. So I became a landlord. And I wasn't the best landlord, but what started to happen, I guess, in the last 10 years, in my opinion, is that Atlantic City has really been really good for investors, especially if you're a first-time investor. I have a lot of clients I deal with out of North Jersey, out of Philadelphia. And because North Jersey is closer to New York, the prices are so out of control that they can't afford it. And so what's happened is it's opened up a space for lots of investors who are newbies, who can now purchase an investment property, duplex, triplex. If it's not in the city, you can still do outside of the city and the county condominiums. So I think for me, what's basically changed is the makeup of the buyer. No longer am I looking specifically at just a first-time home buyer or someone who is looking to maybe sell a property. Now I have in the mix, I have a lot of people that are looking to now to trade up in real estate. And I think that real estate is the fastest way that you can, have long-term wealth. And so now that it's on podcasts, it's on TVs, everybody's doing investments, flips. And so I think that's what's changed in our area.
Awesome. And with your success there, what do you, what's the reason behind it? How would you say how do you separate yourself from the marketplace? Because there's a lot of competition, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of competition. I think there's a lot of competition for sure. And I try to build relationship. And as you said earlier, it's not transactional. I really love real estate. I'm an investor myself. I love, selling. I love educating people. And so when I work with people, I'm really looking to build relationship. For instance, I had a client out yesterday. We were looking at property, and right now the market is, it's tough. And I think his price point, I think he was about, 385 or so, but he really can't find anything. So I said, listen, maybe we should pivot a little bit. Maybe we should consider just buying a small condominium, right? It would serve your purpose, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. You buy the condominium, you stay there for 1 or 2 years, right? Turn it into an investment property. Take that property, and if it appreciates, you can take the money back out of that and buy another one. But ideally, I would say keep that property and then just now look at the market and buy your real forever home, because he's having a problem with that whole forever home thing. And, it's just sometimes hard to do. It really is hard to do. So I think that, just having the option to pivot and being able to allow, as I tell my clients, they can park up here. When you work with me, you can park for free and utilize some of my wisdom to help you make better decisions.
Love that. And so, because people don't know what they don't know. So that is probably something that people haven't really thought about, which again goes back to the importance of educating your clients.
It is.
Love that. Love that. So for you, I mean, how has it been this last year? As you said, we're a funny place right now, but how was it for you last year? How many transactions do you tend to do in a year?
Oh, and I have to remember. I can't remember. That's my favorite line. I can't remember how many I do. I'm not really good at that part. However, last year I won't say it was my best year, and it was a very good year. I think when COVID hit, that was the year that I think everybody just knocked it out of the park. So it's probably not going to be like a COVID year. I would say maybe close to 60 transactions if I have to really guess.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. It definitely is a lot. But for the most part, I don't do a lot of large transactions. Lots of my clients are first-time investors, first-time home buyers. So it's a lot of the small transactions that we do. And oftentimes, listing and selling.
Right. With EXP, there's so many, it's opened everything up, isn't it? How long ago did you move to EXP?
EXP, I just celebrated my 3rd year with EXP. And I can tell you right now, that has been one of the best decisions I've made in my entire career. Absolutely, by far the best decision.
There you go. So what's next? What's next for Tracy? What are your goals for this year moving forward?
So I think for me, what I'd like to be able to do, I knew coming into EXP, because there was so many different aspects and so many things to learn in EXP. I wanted to give myself about a year or two to really learn the platform and to get myself acclimated. I have an office. My office is an approved office in Atlantic City. And so I want to now begin to grow out my team. But I also would love to collaborate really with agents across the country, because EXP affords us that opportunity. And so, I talked to you earlier about, I'd love to be able to do a podcast. I'd love to be able to, have opportunities where I can educate people. I love, having the opportunity to expand and to give people some of my experience. Like I said, I've bought investment property. I've done short-term rentals. I've done long-term. And so I like to be able to share that, because you don't have to necessarily make the mistake to learn the lesson. You can actually, use some of my, mistakes and learn the lesson as well.
Perfect. Well, you mentioned podcast, because here at Icons, we're not just a podcast. We're the #1 real estate podcast
Absolutely.
network globally. And we're passionate about making podcasting accessible to everybody involved in the business of real estate. So you've obviously been thinking about this, Tracy. So if you had your own podcast, what would you call it?
If I had my own podcast, I don't know. I think that I have so many things swirling around my head. I would have to say, let me think. Karen, you're going to get me. I don't know.
Well, we're going to have to talk. We're going to have to talk about that some more. We'll come up with a name.
I normally would rely on Chat GPT and say, hey, give me a name real fast.
That's the beauty. Now I do seem to think, like, what on earth did we do prior to Chat GPT? It's amazing. So don't worry, we'll come up with a name for you. And so finally, if there's any realtors that want to get in touch, if they want to find out a little bit more about EXP, or if anybody's looking to buy or sell in Atlantic City, where do they reach you? How do they reach out to you?
Great question. You can actually reach me on my website. It's A as in apple, C as in candy, Realtors, plural, acrealtors.com. I'm also on Instagram, Tracy Newmones. I am on Facebook. If you want my number, it's 609-944-8809. And so you can reach me by plane, by train, any way you want to reach me, just reach me.
Love that. And Tracy's details will be in the show notes, so resort back to them. Tracy, it's been lovely speaking with you today. Thank you so much for your time. And to the listeners, I'll be back next time with the Icons of Real Estate.